Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hope you can all hear me. Can you all hear me? Hope you can. Hi. So pleased to be back with you all again. I love what we're going to talk about tonight. So far with Think and Eat Yourself Smart, the first two YouTube lives, I discussed the first section of the book, which was Admit It. And the Admit It section dealt with the problems of our global food system. Now, you would think that once you hear all the things that I've been sharing with you, and I know you've been reading the book, and for those of you that haven't, you've got to do this, follow the YouTube lives, get the book, it's on special. And this is life-changing stuff because we have to look after our brain and our bodies because our minds have to work through them and we have to be responsible for the earth that we live in. So part one of this book, or section one, Admitted section, deals with what's happened in our food system. And it's so bad. You saw that and it's so the industrialized food movement, the modern American diet, such a terrible thing, destroying our bodies, destroying the planet, and so many things that I shared with you. You would think that would be enough for people to really take this information and change. And for some it is, but there's still a lot of people that need a little more convincing. So we need to also realize that deciding to eat healthy is a choice to get knowledge and apply the knowledge. So the first part tells you what's wrong with the modern American industrialized food movement and how it destroys our brain, bodies, and the earth. And now we're going to dive in more depth into the mind behind this process. So section 2, which we're covering over the next couple of weeks, is going to deal with this, the mindset behind the meal, the importance of mind involved in eating. And the big picture of chapters 8, 9, 10, and 11 that we're going to discuss tonight is the importance of mind. Don't forget, there's also an online program, Think and Eat Yourself Smart. You can pick this up in the store as well, which is a great breakdown of this book over 63 days. You can do it longer. You don't have to do it over 63 days. And it breaks the book down into little portions that you can study each time with a content section. And then there's some scriptures that you can go through. There's a little practical section. I call it Think, Pray, Eat. And it basically, the two work together to help you transform how you are managing your eating process. Okay, so in the chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, we are entering into the realm of the importance of understanding the mind. Now, you know that I'm always talking about the mind. I'm always constantly talking about the mind. Some people are battling to hear me. Are you okay? I'm going to turn up the volume a little. Hopefully you can all hear me. Okay, so the mind controls everything. Your mind is 99% of who you are. Your mind is your thinking, your feeling, and your choosing. And this thinking, feeling, and choosing is influencing everything about how you function physically, and it includes everything about how you make food choices and the impact of those food choices on your body. Okay, so that's very important that you actually realize the mindset behind the meal. So you'll see in some of the sections, and today I'm actually going to do it from Kindle. I'm using Kindle to because I've made some notes in my Kindle version of the food book. So you can also get this Think and Eat Yourself Smart on Kindle, and I'm going to be working from there. Okay, so nothing but a loading circle. Okay, some of you still battling? Okay, some of you getting it. We've got a terrible storm here, so it may be affecting our internet. Just let me know if you can hear. Some of you, if you can just indicate. I know some of you can hear me. I'm just going to carry on. It will be recorded. If you're missing sections of this, you can go back and to pick it up on our live on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you will be able to pick up all these YouTube events that I've done on the book since the beginning of the year in this mental health makeover. Okay, so we are doing chapters 8, 9, 10, and 11 today. It's really focusing on the importance of mind. Starting at chapter 8, I'm going to work from my Kindle version. Okay, and what I say, I'm just going to read you little bits and pieces and then explain, because there's a lot of quite technical stuff in these chapters to help you understand the big picture. Then you can dive in on your own and study these chapters in depth. Okay, so by now you have a detailed picture of the global food system, which I discussed in the first part of the book, the Admit section. And how the global food system has gone devastatingly wrong. Some might say that this is all you need. So, but unless you are able to identify and change your mindset about food, so we need to start examining, what is your mindset about food? What are you focusing on? What are the adverts that you are basically watching through social media, through TV, through billboards? What are you planting in your mind? And is the food advertising and food marketing influencing your food choices? How much are you actually thinking about what you're choosing to put in your mouth? Do you actually think about, why am I choosing this particular food stuff? And what is it made from? Where is it coming from? Are you taking the time to do that? Are you taking the time to actually taste that food and to digest that food and to enjoy the flavors and the textures, not just shovel it down your throat? These are all vitally important components of eating. It's all kind of like the mind stuff of eating. And did you know, and I'd say it in these chapters, that the mindset behind the meal, the mind action behind the meal, is 80% of eating. That means that the digestion or the nutrition that you get from the food that you eat is pretty much controlled up to 80, even more percent of how your mind is functioning. So if you're in an irritated mood or frustrated or something like that, you actually will impact in a negative way the nutrition that you're getting. So that means if you're eating that pasture-raised, healthy, organic chicken pasta that you've made from local ingredients and done in the right way, and you're sitting down and you're doing all the right thing, but you're very irritated, or you're getting really worked up over the meal about something, or you're in a toxic mindset about something that's happened during the course of the day, well, you have just lost up to 80% of the nutrition of that food. Your digestive system is reliant on your mind being calm. So this is very important to understand that. We also talk about that in this section, and I'm going to keep bringing that up with different examples. But today we're also going to talk about how the mind influences eating and how marketing plays into this, and how a lot of our food decisions are seriously influenced by what we keep looking at. You know, whatever you keep focusing on means that you keep seeing it all the time, means that you keep thinking and feeling and making choices about that food advert or that billboard or those different food, the fast food joints that you drive past, or the different foods in the shops that you're shopping at. You keep looking at them. And if you don't think about what's in those things, if you don't question them, they become familiar. You build them as a long-term memory into your brain. So when you're hungry and in a rush, those are the memories that pop into the forefront of your conscious mind and influence your food choices. And you need to grab those thoughts and say, hey, this food that I'm thinking I want, is this healthy food? Is this local, sustainable, organic, farm to table, minimally processed, all the definition of real food? Relating to that as well, if you happen to be in a mad rush and you're rushing to collect your kids, or you're rushing somewhere and you're or shoveling your food down between office visits, or between at lunch when you've got a very quick lunch, or eating in front of your computer, that's also going to affect how your mind is functioning. Your mind controls your digestive system. Your digestive system is extremely complicated. So just for the enzymes and proteins to be released in the different parts, from your tongue, in your mouth, your salivary glands, down your throat, all the way through to your intestines, your stomach, your pancreas, everything functionally is dependent on what you are thinking and feeling and choosing in that moment. So that's a huge responsibility that we need to take. So suppose I'm still on this first page, and I'm going to jump quite fast through different sections because it's a lot to cover. But this is what I've said now in the beginning, is the essence of what we're going to cover today, the importance of mind in food choices and the influence of advertising in food choices. So suppose, for example, that your mindset includes beliefs like, what Dr. Leaf calls real food will be really hard to find. So if you think, okay, well, it's just too hard to find. If that's your mindset, that's the network that you've built, that's negative, okay? And that's influencing your digestion. And it's also going to block you from having an open mind to search out and find that so many of your local supermarkets are now responding to this demand from us, from the consumer, to supply more healthy food. So with an open mindset, with an expectation mindset, you can dive in and actually go and be more amenable to finding those great foods that are out there. It just takes a little bit of looking, finding your local consumer supported agriculture, finding that organic local produce in the produce aisle, etc. Okay, so you might be saying, what Dr. Leaf calls real food will be hard to find. It's expensive and it tastes like sawdust. Well, if that's your mindset, that's your expectation, that will be your reality. But then that's a choice that you're making. And if you don't change that, then you are putting poison in your body and you have to take responsibility for that. See, we can't have a cake both sides, or, eat your cake, make whatever that saying is. Such a stupid saying anyway, but you know what I mean. Okay, if you think it's expensive and it tastes like sawdust and cheeseburgers make me feel good, well, you can still have a cheeseburger. You can get local, organic, sustainable meats and cheeses and healthy breads, and you can still have that, but it takes a little bit more effort to find those stores, to find those restaurants. See, it's all about mindset in terms of food choices, but then it's also about mindset in terms of digestion. So let's say that you do choose to have that healthy food, but you've got this is going to taste terrible because it's just not nice, then it's not going to taste good. You're not going to get the benefit. Just saying that food doesn't taste nice, you don't like it, and it tastes like sawdust, and this is a whole hassle, that attitude makes your digestive system literally go down to like a 20% level of functioning, which means now you're eating this good food, but now you're not getting the benefit from it. So it's super important that you get that under control. So in this chapter then, I talk about the fact that statistics show that the mindset behind the meal, the thinking behind the meal, plays a dominant role in the process of human food-related health issues by approximately 80%. So that's why the title of this book is Think and Eat Yourself Smart. Think first, then eat, okay? And then we have a responsibility to understand the power of our mind and how it influences the physical digestive system and our health. So if we don't have a healthy mind, then nothing else in our life will be healthy. And it's going to influence our food choices in a negative way. Now, your brain, I'm down at the point where in the book, in chapter 8, where the heading is, the subheading is the meal behind the mindset. Although your brain is actually only 2% of the weight of your body. So your brain's only 2% of the weight of your body. It requires 20% of the energy and 65% of the glucose of every bite that you consume. So it's a hungry organ, it's a busy organ, it's a high energy organ. So it wants that. It'll take the best, it'll take the first. Okay, so how you eat will directly affect the way that the brain functions. It literally has first dibs on food. So that's really important to know. Okay, so then I go to the next page and I make a comment there. But if you eat when you're negatively emotional, you are affecting your digestive system. And I'm saying this over and over again because I really need you to get this point. Okay, so the situation's also urgent. I'm turning over to the next page. As we saw in part 1, the modern American diet has morphed into a global problem with eating. This is not just only in America, it's a global problem in eating. And even though people in other countries disapprove of fast food American diet, they're eating it. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. Okay, it's the largest export, the most ubiquitous export from the United States. So on a daily basis, more and more of us are consuming foods that destroy rather than nourish our bodies. And it's a global issue. Okay, so I go into the next subheading. I talk about renew your mind, renew your plate. So you've got to renew your mind to what is wrong with bad food, what it does for you, and how are you going to now find out where the good food is, how you're going to change your diet. That is a choice, mind change. Okay, so that's pretty much what chapter 8 covers, is that concept. Now, chapter 9 is all about taking responsibility. Chapter 9, Think and Eat Yourself Smart, taking responsibility. Okay, our first step in undoing the effects of a very unhealthy life is to take responsibility. Face the fact that there's bad food out there, that perhaps you've been eating that bad food, that we live in this consumerist society, that there's bad food all around us, and take the responsibility that it's going to take an effort. You're going to have to spend time understanding what healthy food looks like and where to eat it, which is why I've got this book for you, the online program, these YouTube videos, and all the support that I can give you to help you to change. because your mind can't work through a broken brain and body very well. So we have to look after our mind so that our brain and our body and mind together can function well. Just always remember, your mind runs your digestive system. Very important point, okay, which is heavily covered in this section 2, this quit section, and I'm introducing you to that in chapters 8, 9, 10, and 11 today. So there are countless research studies in journals and bookstores, etc., highlighting the impact of both thinking and diet on the body. So there's a lot of information about this out there, about eating well and the impact of our mind on diet. So 9 out of 10 people will put the weight back on that they've lost because their mind wasn't behind the meal. So if you're just going to do a diet and an exercise, but you don't actually address why you overate in the first place or why you need to change your eating habits, 9 out of 10 people will put that weight back on because the mind was not sufficiently involved in the decision making. Okay, so basically we can now say with certainty from the research that consuming highly processed sugar, salt, and fat-laden MAD foods, MAD standing for the modern American diet, contributes to increased levels of obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, stroke, allergies, autism, learning disabilities, and autoimmune disorders, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. We're seeing it, okay? So we're seeing it, but we've got to acknowledge it. We have to accept that our food system is dysfunctional. We have to do something about it. Now, even like when I talk about this often, to thousands of people on the podium, in events, etc. And I often come face to face with a mental blank wall, which is the title of the subtitle that I'm working from now in the book, Think and Eat Yourself Smart. Okay, so a mental blank wall. So I can tell people the dangers of, for example, why you shouldn't drink soda and what it's doing in your brain, and how as you drink a soda it's raised your insulin levels, which is going to very much a pretty strong guarantee that it's going to mess up, that your insulin levels are going to mess up your cortisol levels, and you're going to put on weight around your waist very quickly in other areas of your body. And not only that, is that you're going to have an increased production of a certain type of protein that is not very good for your brain in large quantities, and it's going to be an excess amount of it's going to be released, and that then is going to cross over into your brain, bash out your blood-brain barrier, which protects your brain from certain substances, and it's going to go in your brain and pretty much start eating up your brain and set you up for the dementias. Now, that's a mouthful, and I say that's what sodas do. They don't bring any health to your body. They're ultimately setting you up for brain damage. And so when you hear this, then I see people, I teach this, and then people go to the vending machine, and the next minute I'm still talking the next part of the conference, and they're sitting there drinking a soda, and I'm thinking, mental blank wall. You see, it's about choice. I can tell you everything, but at the end of the day, you need to think about these implications, take responsibility, and choose. See, not only will drinking that soda result in you having a bloated colon, destroying probiotics, affecting your intelligence and your IQ, bringing brain fog, throw your body into toxic stress, contribute to the destruction of the Earth's natural resources. I mean, that's just like a million things that can go wrong. And I mean, I'm often in churches and in green rooms, and I just see all this junk food there, and they offer me all this junk food, and I say, I don't touch that. That is destroying your brain. It's and that's not stewarding your brain. It's not stewarding your body, and it is not stewarding the earth, because your brain, body, and earth are getting destroyed from that. Okay, so we need to take personal responsibility for what we put on our plates. And, it's foolhardy, and I'm on the next section, the only balanced meal. It's very foolhardy to believe that we can live our lives however we choose. I'm reading from that section. And when medical problems arise, run to our doctors and dietitians for a quick fix. So you go on, eat this junk food, say grace, use God as a genie, turn the junk food into the junk Twinkies or whatever, into organic kale. Expect it, it's not going to happen. God's not a genie, and you can't keep putting junk in your body and expect it to keep working. Okay, so there is a personal responsibility factor, which I discuss in the rest of the chapter. And essentially, thinking about the impact of your lifestyle choices will have a profound influence on the health of your spirit, soul, and body. Okay, so we've seen people are dying 15 to 25 years younger now from lifestyle choices. The way you use your mind and the way you are eating and the way you're using your mind to make food choices is shortening people's lives. Okay, so if you get rid of the toxic mindset, you're going to get rid of the toxic health in your body and ill health in your body, and you're going to lose the weight that you want to lose if that's your objective. Okay, so we need to take responsibility for the condition of our bodies, and that arises. And then I go on to discuss things like the BMI and the body mass index, and that's not a perfect scale. It looks at your body weight and your height, but it's one of the scales that's used a lot, but it keeps changing. We have to really, our ultimate goals, and this is at the bottom of the page on the section where I talk about lose the mindset, lose the weight. Our ultimate goal should therefore be a healthy diet and a lifestyle that nourishes and sustains it. That's what I'm teaching you throughout this book. So I'm jumping across facts. This book is big, a lot of information. That's why I recommend you get the online with it. But you need to go through this slowly. But you will get the information that you need to live a healthy lifestyle. Remember, I'm not teaching you a diet. I'm not giving you a list of brain foods, because if you eat real food, that is brain food. And real food, we've discussed what that is. So you can do whatever diet you want, anything, as long as it's real food. So if you're doing keto, make sure it's real food that you're using in your keto. If it's paleo, whatever it is, we're all different. We all like following diet fads, whatever. Don't be confused by the diet fad. Make sure that you're eating in a way that suits your body. It's very unique to you. There's a lot of mind decisions involved in evaluating that if this diet works for someone else, but it doesn't work for you, that's okay. As long as you keep trying different ways of eating, and as long as your bottom line rule is eat real food mindfully. Use your mind in your decision making and make sure your mind is in a good state when you're eating. Okay, so you can't hear that enough, I tell you. So now that's chapter 9 basically discusses that. Now chapter 10 is called Meeting of the Minds. Chapter 10, Think and Eat Yourself Smart. So for years, I developed a theory, and for 30 years, I've done brain-mind research. I do clinical trials. I'm still doing clinical trials. And in fact, if you want to find out about my most recent, my upcoming clinical trials that actually start in a month's time, you can go to drleafresearch.com. You'll find that link in the show notes. And I'd love you to partner with me. I am challenging this broken mental health care system that is basically turning mental health into an illness, which it's not, and offering all kinds of dangerous solutions. And I'm looking to show you that when you get your mind under control, you get your lifestyle under control, you can bring your mental health under control. We all battle with depression, etc., etc. So we need to make sure that I make lifestyle changes. So partner with me on that research. Go and have a look at that research. And we're going to be looking at all kinds of different things, including foodstuffs, etc. I also am so excited. In a couple of weeks' time, we'll have my new app out called Switch. And I've been talking about that for a while now. It's almost ready, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to have all kinds of add-ons. So you subscribe for a year. There's the basic program will be released very soon, which will help you detox your brain, get your mind right, so that whatever you're eating is going to be nutritional for you. To get your nutrition from your food, you need to detox your brain. So follow those two things, Switch app. You'll get the details in the show notes. And please support me on the clinical trials. I'd love you to partner with me. Clinical trials are really expensive, and everything that you give us goes towards the clinical trials. Help me, help you. That's what I'm doing, guys. Help me to help you. That's why I do everything that I'm doing, including these YouTube lives. Okay, chapter 10. The meeting of the mind. So for years, I researched this theory. I developed a theory. This is part of what we're testing in the clinical trials. I have already tested it in clinical trials, applied it clinically, done research on it, and I keep advancing the theory. And basically what it is everything that I teach, how your mind changes your brain. So this whole chapter is quite complicated, and I really recommend you spend some time reading it, because it's going to help you understand how marketing influences us. You'll find my theory in all my books with different explanations. And in this book, Think and Eat Yourself Smart, I basically talk about my theory in terms of how it influences us, our food decisions. So whatever you think about the most will grow in your brain, okay? Whatever you keep on focusing on is growing and becoming a habit. It takes 21 days to build a long-term memory. It takes 63 days to form a habit. So if you're driving down that road, and we did this, we counted that when our kids were still at school, we would take to drive them 15 minutes from our home to their school. In that 15 minutes, we passed something like 21 different takeout joints, and there were billboards all along the way. And all of them were junk food. There wasn't one single healthy one. Now, you are passing those every day, and you're seeing the billboards every day. Within 63 days, if you keep looking at them without analyzing what you're looking at, you have built that into your non-conscious mind. And that means it's a long-term memory, and whatever goes in your non-conscious mind is influencing your conscious mind. Now, your conscious mind is awake when you're awake, so your conscious mind is working now while you're listening to me, and your non-conscious mind, which is super fast, is working 24/7. So at the moment, your non-conscious mind, where all your trillions of memories and incredibly fast activities happening, is working 24/7. And at the moment, you've got your conscious mind working with it, which is not as fast, equally as powerful. It is through our conscious mind that we process, think, feel, and choose. Our mind goes into action as we look at the food ads driving to the school or on TV, social media, and we keep looking at the same thing over and over and over. And if you don't deliberately and consciously block it out or analyze, it's going to go into your mind, into your non-conscious mind as a memory that influences you. So now you've done this. So now you're picking up your kids from school, or you're rushing between meetings, and you suddenly realize you're starving. So what do? You go to the closest takeout joint. You don't think about it. You think, I'm hungry. I like that food. Maybe you've eaten it a few times. So that's added to the memory in your non-conscious mind of your experience of eating it. The taste buds would have been activated, so you remember the great taste. You don't always choose to remember how terrible you felt, and you maybe didn't think and associate how terrible you felt with that disgusting bad food, that modern American diet junk food, and you maybe didn't associate the fact that you actually felt quite negative afterwards and maybe quite emotional, maybe had a high, but it dropped very low, which is what happens with junk food. You get a high that makes you have a burst of feel good, and then it gets bad, and then maybe your brain was foggy and you battled in that next meeting and you got irritable with your husband and kids or wife or whatever. Maybe you don't remember that, but that's all built into that network. So now you're hungry, you're in a rush, you're picking kids up between meetings, you've got to quickly rush to get them, to feed them, get them back to a sport, get back to a meet, whatever. And what do? That memory consciously jumps up from your memory of the fast food experience, etc., jumps up into your mind. You think, okay, well, 2 minutes from the school, on the way to my meeting, I can quickly pull into the takeout joint. We can grab some food, shove it down our throat, and move on. You have succumbed to convenience. You have succumbed to a memory that is toxic. And we need to be aware of what we are putting in our mind, because if we thought about it, hey, that is junk food. That is not good for me. I'm going to make sure that I pack a decent meal the night before. I'm not going to eat in a rush. I'm going to make sure that we sit in the car and talk to each other while we're eating, that we don't drive and eat or rush and eat at the same time. So you think about it differently. Don't let those advertisements get in your non-conscious mind and influence your next food decision. And if they are, stop them, become aware. So in this chapter 10, I talk about my theory in terms of the non-conscious mind and the conscious mind, and how we, with our conscious mind, can consciously and deliberately and intentionally think and make decisions about our food choices and what's influencing us. What's coming into your mind when you're hungry? What advert came into your mind? Grab it. Bring that thought into captivity. That's bad. That's bad food. What can you have as a replacement? How can you change your lifestyle that you can replace that junk with that healthy food? That's a choice that you have to make. That's the responsibility. Just to show you how fast your non-conscious mind is, I have in this book, I have a section where I talk about these whole images and everything about my theory there, you'll see. But I talk about, I'm just trying to find this section here quickly. Your non-conscious mind, which is where all your memories are stored, and your memories are also stored in your brain. So memories are stored in two places: the memories that you build with your thinking, feeling, and choosing. And what do you think, feel, and choose? What you're focusing on. So when something pops in your mind, you know what you've been focusing on. So if junk food pops in your mind, well, that's what you've been focusing on. So you can fix it, change it. Your brain can be rewired. So your non-conscious mind operates so fast. Okay, so your non-conscious, let me give you the example through the eyes. This is what I've said under the conscious cognitive level of the mind in this chapter. For instance, the conscious level of the mind is 1 to 10% of our mind's activity. So the conscious level of the mind is 1 to 10% of your activity. The non-conscious level, which is your spiritual level, is 99%. Okay, so the part where your memories are stored in the non-conscious, that's influencing the conscious, because as you are conscious of something, whatever's stored in the non-conscious comes up. So those existing memories of food come up when you're hungry and you're thinking about what to eat, and they influence. You look at the current decision through what you have stored in your brain. Your non-conscious mind, for instance, just to give you an example, through your eyes, For instance, it operates at only 50 bits per second, that's your conscious mind through the eyes, as compared to 10 million bits per second in the non-conscious mind. So when you look at something, like you can see me now, your conscious mind, your eyes are processing consciously you're processing it at 50 bits per second, but your non-conscious mind is processing at 10 million bits per second. All I'm trying to tell you is that your non-conscious mind is vast and powerful and influential. And what is in there, you put there from your conscious mind. So what you're consciously focusing on goes into your non-conscious mind and then influences your conscious mind, because you put it there and then it comes up and influences you. So in this chapter, I explain that. Study it, understand it, get the online, read the book to help you understand the power that you have in your mind. So basically, I talk about that. There's a couple of more points I want to make there. Constantly thinking about something or listening to something creates a genetic change in your brain, and learning takes place. So you can learn to eat bad food. You can learn to eat good food by what you are focusing on, okay? So this can happen with everything. When you are constantly exposed to messages about fast food, for example, these new thoughts become entrenched and implanted in our minds. Now, marketers, food advertisers know this. They know if you repeatedly look at something, you're going to build that as a memory, and it's going to influence your choices. So marketing and advertising has been designed to grab your attention. It's fast, it's quick, it stimulates, it excites the brain. The brain responds to fast, quick, exciting messages. Your brain responds to that. And if you look at that repeatedly, you will build without totally, and if you don't analyze, you will build stuff into your unconscious mind that you actually don't want. So you've got to have your attention grabbed, and then it's got to be repeatedly grabbed. And then if you don't stop it, it will go into an unconscious mind. But as you get your mind awareness increase, which is what I'm teaching you to do, you can see these bad patterns and you can change them and you can rewire them. Okay, and that's where the Switch app you will find very, very helpful. Okay, so I talk about on getting ads stuck in your head is one of the headings in this particular chapter where I teach on my theory. So I strongly recommend that you have a look. That just explains what I've just explained now. I have one of the other headings that's really cool is the mind versus big food. So big food and marketing and how they are marketing to you. Sensory information is designed to grab your attention with emotional and visual effects that fire up the senses, which excite the brain. And this excitement occurs as your mind tells your brain what to do with the incoming information, establishing the ideal conditions for building memory. So the repetition factor in food marketing through various media like billboard, radio, displays, retail centers, magazines, newspapers, etc., is just all over the place. And if you don't pay attention, this is what's going to go into your head. Okay, so then I talk, there's a section on getting ads stuck in your head, which I've explained. You can go read in a bit more depth. So I just want to read another point to you from this section, this chapter. The potential power of food marketing and the need for us to constantly be on guard is extremely important. Otherwise, we will unintentionally be building those networks into our mind. Okay, so the real tragedy is definitely that food marketing example is, indeed, the real tragedy, the end of the chapter, of the food marketing example is that this disciplined and repeated memory building process shouldn't be applied to building junk food in our brains, ladies and gentlemen. It should be applied to our thinking, our schoolwork, our jobs, our relationships, our healthy pastimes, not the consumption of processed, mad food-like products. Unfortunately, one of the most stubborn mindsets we have to contend with tells us that we are too busy to do the mental work to change our eating habits. Now, that is a mindset that seriously needs to be changed and that I address in the next chapter, which we're going to cover very quickly. I want to read that sentence again. Unfortunately, one of the most stubborn mindsets that we have to contend with tells us that we are too busy to do the mental work to change our eating habits. You're going to have to change that mindset. You're going to have to decide you need to invest time. If you believe in the health of your brain, your body, the earth, your family, your loved ones, and not dying young and having a healthy life and a clear brain, you're going to have to make the decision. It's worth spending the time to understand what's wrong with the food system and to change the way that you think about how you are eating and what you're eating, etc. So we need to explore this hurry sickness, and that's what I talk about in chapter 11. So in chapter 11, But the title is Chapter 11 of Think and Eat Yourself Smart. Remember, there's an accompanying online program that goes with it. Toxic schedules and television, twin enemies of our mind. And in this chapter, I discuss things like hurry sickness, how I'm going to read this paragraph. I do understand that many of us live incredibly busy lives. Indeed, I would go so far as to say that many of us have what I call toxic schedules. Rest has become a luxury we frequently yearn for. And when it comes to food, our fast-paced modern lifestyles have produced the mindset of. Now you need to ask yourself if this is your mindset. And if it is, you need to choose to change it. I am too busy to cook, and convenient foods at least give me a little bit of time to do what I want. I just need a break. Sticking that TV dinner in the microwave and getting our comfy chair ready in front of the TV to watch the latest celebrity show seems to be a better deal than fussing around the kitchen instead of talking to your children. I think in your family, I think you know how wrong that is. Okay, and how bad that is. I make a couple of notes. Life has become an acceleration syndrome. We go on time management courses to become even busier. We are under the directorate of time, and we've applied that to our eating. And the food marketing companies have taken advantage of that. They are appealing to the fact that you have no time, we'll prepare it for you. But you don't want that, because eating is a very mindful and social event. You're all about deep, meaningful connections. And eating is an opportunity for you to slow down, to relax your mind, to relax your brain, to prepare in a very therapeutic way with your loved ones, with your friends. Prepare that meal and make it a whole wonderful event that is so healthy for your mind. You see, this hurry sickness that drives a significant part of our daily lives is challenging the value of a good homemade meal with fresh, real food ingredients. Okay, so the rise, Eric Schlosser talks about we've become a fast food nation, and it's actually contributed to this hurry sickness event. So under the directorate of time, we can become nutritionally starved. You can actually become nutritionally starved. Your body's not getting what it needs, that you need to survive, your brain and your body, when you are constantly hurrying. Eating in a rush, even if it's healthy food, you're not going to get the full benefit either. So eat less from a box is one of the titles of this chapter. Eat less from a box, eat less in front of a box. Okay, so be careful of TV, because eating in front of a TV, you don't process, your mind's not working as well as it can, and you don't process and focus on the food that you're eating, and you will not get the full benefit out of that food. I explained this here. Also, TV appeals to the fast pace. Our brain loves the fast pace and excitement of TV, and we can focus on that content, and we don't focus on how we're eating. So we speed up our eating. We eat too fast. We don't chew the food. We eat too much. We don't communicate and connect. Research shows that when you eat slowly, think about what you're eating, and connect with your loved ones, you will get more nutritional balance in your body, and you will lose the weight, and the weight will stay off. Okay, and you will be much healthier. So I also have a heading over here, and we're almost done. Toxic targets are our children for sale. And this is, I mentioned this before in one of the other chapters as well. As a society, we should be especially concerned about the impact of food marketing on our children. A growing body of research shows that the greater familiarity with fast food restaurant advertising is linked to an increased chance of obesity amongst children. Your children are becoming familiar with fast food advertising, and that is increasing obesity. That is what the research is saying. Okay, so a low consumption of the right kind of foods. Basically, I just want to jump over to the numbers here. Children are constantly surrounded by these mad food images, modern American diet food images. The average child will be exposed to approximately 13 food commercials every day, or 4,700 a year, while teenagers see more than 16 food advertisements per day, or 5,900 per year. Those are statistics from around 2015. It's increased since then. Okay, these statistics are related to television viewing only and exclude the advertising on social. So it's way higher. They're seeing it repeatedly. It's in the non-conscious. If you don't educate your children about healthy food, all they are learning about is unhealthy food. That's what's going in their non-conscious mind. Okay, campaigns are directed at children. It's not regulated, and there's just no control over this at this stage. Even though there are some regulatory bodies, they haven't been successful in controlling this. So at the moment, our children are being excessively marketed to. So I talk about that. So we need to be very careful about that. You control what you're putting into your mind. So basically, I want to just jump over to to a section in the book. Following the leader, you control the circle. You control the circle of what you're focusing on, what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, what you're choosing, what you're building into your unconscious mind, and what is influencing your food decisions, what long-term memories. You control that food circle. So you need to take responsibility, and that is what this is doing. This will teach you how to do that. I'm giving you the knowledge, the skills, and the techniques to do that. Okay, so if you don't plant, last thing I'm going to read to you, what will happen if you do not plant healthy mindsets into an unconscious mind? You feel thirsty, so you think soda. And you choose to go out and purchase a soda because you associate that soda with the happiness of the marketing campaign you saw on television. You may not believe you'll be transplanted to a gorgeous beach with happy individuals drinking soda while dolphins leap excitedly in the background, but the positive emotions associated with the idea of fun, relaxation, and friendship imbue that sugary drink with a strong appeal. The perfect circle has built a mindset that says, I am thirsty, and if I drink the soda, I will quench my thirst and be happier. Isn't that crazy? But that's what will happen if you don't grab your mind when it comes to eating. You are in control of your mind. That scenario may be ridiculous, okay? And ultimately, you may not think like that at all. Ultimately, however, we each live out of what we have built into our unconscious minds. So I encourage you, read these chapters. If you haven't already read them, go reread them and then prepare for next week's chapters. I will see you next week with the next set of chapters. You'll be able to follow me on social media. You can rewatch this YouTube live. Get in there, look at the show notes, look at the research, look at the Switch app, read these things, change your life. You're in control. Remember, you control the circle of your mind. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.